great gusts of wind, and the elite men's race about to start. We've had a number of races already. You can see what's happened to the course. It really is tough. Now some of the athletes to watch with Brendan Foster.
For British cross country and distance running to see another British victory. That British victory can be held in hand.
Well, last year's winner, John Brown, being joined by Andrew Pearson, Keith Cullen and Chris Roberson, and John Nuttall heading the British contingent with some strong overseas competitors. The Great North Run winner, Hendrik Ramala, Marsa of Holland, and probably the race favourite, number 56 from Kenya, Tom Nairiki.
A field of about 40 as John Brown, won in Durham in December 96, former European champion.
You put that pattern together, in these conditions, in this weather, it's going to be a great...
Men's race, 9.3 kilometres. There's a start lap of 900 metres, and then they go out on 6 big laps of 1,366 metres. Believe me, apart from the mud and the wind, it's a tough course anyway. Undulating, and quite sharp drops, and equally sharp climbs.
Well, it certainly is a tough course. The conditions make it extremely difficult. As the early leader, the tall athlete there, the Dutchman, having a little bit of trouble. He's gone the wrong side of the course. They've actually gone off the course there at some point, but now the athlete's very quickly been able to join the leaders. That was an unfortunate mistake there, but the Dutchman was unhampered at all by that. Andrew Pearson from the Longwood Harriers Club on the outside there, just beside him, and then the big contenders just following this, local athlete Stewie Bell, and on the wide outside there, Barry Royden, as John Brown moves slowly through the field in about 4th or 5th place.
Right up there, the green vest of Ireland, worn by Seamus Power. Also up with the leaders, Bill Jenkins from Christ Hill. I think what happened when the athletes divided and went off the course was that the recent gusts of wind, which should not reach the promised 70 miles an hour, merely about 40 miles an hour, torn the ribbons down there, just for a brief spot. I've got plenty of time to help them back. Marsa, the leader. Marsa's 26, Dutch indoor 3,000 metre champion, 11th in the World Championship 10,000 metres, and last season he won the World Student Games 10,000. The Irishman, Seamus Power, Andy Pearson wearing 4. John Brown seeking better ground, running a bit wide, wearing 1.
You can see there, coming down the hill there, some of the athletes are really sliding, but there's Hendrik Ramala coming racing through to move from about 15th place to join the leader, Hendrik Ramala, who's recently returned from a race in Sao Paulo in Brazil, running alongside Andrew Pearson. But Ramala, you ran that New Year's Eve race, David, that was only about 48 hours ago.
Well, the race in Sao Paulo, the road race, I think it's about 14 kilometres, started before midnight and finishes on the New Year's Day. So he's had a pretty hectic 48 hours.
He certainly has. It's Seamus Power from Ireland leads alongside local athlete Stuart Bell. Power looks to be really comfortable in these conditions, and you'll find some athletes really can't run well in these sort of difficult conditions. It's certainly a test for the strong men, but also some athletes do find more comfortable running on soft underfoot conditions than some of the more renowned track and road runners.
Running wide, wearing 52 is the Frenchman Millon, who ran well here last year. He was 4th, but certainly, you're right, Brendan, Seamus Power seems to revel in this going. Bell alongside him. Just behind them is Christian Stevenson, ran for Britain in the recent World Cross-Country, European Cross Countries, and he was 39th.
Keith Cullen moving through there in about 4th place, gradually moving closer towards those leaders. I don't expect Stuart Bell from the Chesterley Street Club to stay in contention for very much longer. He's a good local athlete, but this is a world-class field. And Stewie, although he's a strong man, I would think he'd find it difficult to keep this pace going. Seamus Power alongside him, then Christian Stevenson from Cardiff, and then Keith Cullen moving through nicely there into fourth place. There's Keith Cullen in number 5, and then Stephen White, and then Thomas Nairiki, then John Brown and Andrew Pearson. And I've been watching Nairiki. He's been looking and moving from side to side to try and find some good underfoot conditions, but there are only a few points on this course, which has been saturated in the last 48 hours. There are only a few decent running points here, and it is a real test of strength and stamina. There you can see, we don't have to describe it, you can actually see the mud really troubling some of these athletes as Stuart Bell continues alongside Seamus Power, Christian Stevenson and Stephen White from Coventry Godiva Club, who won the National Cross Country in very similar conditions earlier this year.
Very impressive road runner and Stuart Bell in the early stages pressing at home. Christian Stevenson leads you back in 3rd place. Stephen White, 4th, Stephen White, good speed over
going out on the big lap again. 6 laps of 1,366 metres. The race distance, 9.3 kilometres. Bell doesn't mind the mud. Local lad ploughing through it.
Great moment for him.
Stephen White wearing 9. 25. Really, he's not unhappy with the conditions. Now Stuart Bell beginning to suffer.
Well, yeah, I didn't think he could last too much longer, but Stephen White looked over his shoulder, saw John Brown running through the middle of the mud, and then saw on the outside the Kenyan Thomas Nairiki looking for an easier going, and then suddenly Stephen White accelerated, opened up a few yards, and the conditions here today were exactly the similar conditions that I saw Stephen White win the National Cross Country Championship. That used to be the title to win in the old days. Nowadays there are more lucrative races on the international circuit, but Stephen White is a strong man. The Coventry Godiva Harrier obviously revels in these conditions, but he's got some class athletes behind him. And you notice John Brown in 2nd place now. He's got to that 2nd place very, very quietly, just gently worked his way through the field, and now moving alongside Stephen White, having little problem at all with these underfoot conditions. For the first time, John Brown, this is the first race he's run since he ran the Chicago Marathon, a debut marathon where he ran 2 hours and 10 minutes. And now John Brown moves alongside Stephen White, and Britain's 1, 2 and 3. John Brown, Stephen White, and then Keith Cullen.
Keith Cullen was a bit unlucky in the European Cross Country Championships. He was thought to be the British number 1. So he got away to a good start, then got bumped on the first bend, taken out, lost a lot of places, but made up the ground too quickly, Brendan, and he didn't finish in the end.
No, he didn't finish there, but he recently ran a race in Brussels where he came something like back to form. And it's good to see 3 Britons in the first 3 positions here. But if you remember, John Brown became the first Briton to win the European Cross Country Championships. That was in Belgium 2 years ago. And then he came here and won this race last year. And the conditions in Belgium when he won the European Cross Country Championship were very heavy like this. So John Brown has proved himself in these conditions. But Keith Cullen is a determined athlete moving alongside John Brown.
Riki just tracking them. John Brown, I flew out with him yesterday. He lives in Vancouver, but he's been over here for Christmas with his wife. Staying here for a month. He's been troubled by hip problems. He's going straight to see the physio last night. Of course, he'd got that problem in the Great North Run and also in the Chicago Marathon. So it's hardly surprising he's not been racing since, but he looks in good condition.
He certainly does, and he wouldn't have travelled all the way from Canada, where he now lives, to compete in a race like this if he wasn't in good condition. There's the 4th place, Tom Nairiki, then Stephen White, and then Andrew Pearson moving through the shot, and then Seamus Power, who led early on, further down the field. But John Brown now starting to try and dominate this race. 2nd place, Keith Cullen, was coming on terms with John Brown for a short while, and then Christian Stevenson in 3rd place. But John Brown looks very much at home in these really difficult conditions. Well, they were predicting severe bad weather here, and for this moment we're getting reasonable weather. There's no rain at the moment. The wind isn't gusting as strongly as it was predicted, but John Brown and the rest of the athletes will be happy about that.
I think they will too. Stevenson looks good with Cullen there. Very happy with his run in the Lisbon European Championships when he finished 39th. He's had a good season on the Inter-Counties and the Welsh Championship.
I'll tell you what was a bit ominous there, the way that Tom Nairiki, the Kenyan, moved through from 5th place into 2nd place, and now he takes up the chase, Nairiki. I'm sure that he feels if the conditions were a little bit better, he would be able to get more on terms with John Brown, because if you look at Nairiki in 2nd place, every corner he goes round, he tries to get on the wide outside where there's some respite from the mud. So Nairiki running very close to the edge there, trying to get some decent conditions underfoot. He's going to find it difficult to find any conditions there, but there he is, Tom Nairiki, the bronze medalist in the World Cross Country Championships last year and the bronze medalist in the World 5,000 metre Championships on the track earlier this year, last year. But Nairiki is a class athlete. He's been running very well on the country recently. He's leaning into the conditions here. He was a sprinter when he first started running. He used to run 200 metres and 400 metres. So he can finish, and now he's decided to get away from the bunch. This part of the course obviously suits him because he looks much more comfortable on the firm grass here on the top of the golf course at these Akeley Heads playing fields than he does through the mud. There he is on the outside trying to get a decent run, and then he looks ahead and he sees John Brown about 20 metres clear of him. John Brown's made an effort to get that distance ahead, and can Nairiki now close on John Brown?
I think the Kenyans decided that the lead John Brown had got was becoming dangerous. He certainly closed down. Brown looks as comfortable as it's possible to be in these conditions.
Very comfortable in first place.
He almost looks as comfortable running through the mud there, David, as he does when he's running on the roads. I mean, it's amazing, really. Not affecting his stride. He's got a low cadence, a low action. He doesn't lift his knees extremely high, and he just seems to paddle through the mud. The other athletes, we saw Nairiki, who's got a very high knee lift. We saw him looking for a decent bit of... He'll avoid the mud there if he possibly can, Nairiki, now in 3rd place, and again looking for better conditions to run through.
Well, Brown's starting to extend away again. Millen now, on familiar ground for him, ran so well here last year when he was 4th. He's beginning to make an impression, and Nairiki's faded back. Nairiki's had a cold. He was brought in as a very late starter because of 1 or 2 big-name dropouts.
Well, he replaced Khalid Scar in this race, the World Cross Country bronze medalist. And you can see him now. To me, he looks a real threat on the easy part of the course, on the firm grassland. There's Tom Nairiki. But then when he comes through the heavy part, he drifts down the hill quite easily, runs really well there. But when he gets to the hard mud, there's John Brown going on the easier part of the course. Millen, the Frenchman, in 2nd place, and Nairiki now on the softer ground, on the decent conditions. Looks as though he's catching him again. So this seems to be a race that's happening in 2 stages for Nairiki. It's good for him on the decent underfoot conditions, and then he seems to really struggle when he goes through the mud. He's strong on the hills. He looks comfortable leaning into those hills. He's still lifting his knees extremely high, running powerfully up the hills. But there, John Brown, almost shuffling through these conditions, actually unaffected by the conditions, I would have to say.
I think you played your part in helping John Brown secure a super victory here at Durham.
Milan, Frenchman in 2nd place, 27. Good recent form. He was 13th in the Europeans.
So let's make absolutely certain that each and every one of you John before we can.
Milan, 7th to France recently, 11th in Brussels, and a very good run in the European for 13th.
Brown still maintains the lead.
Brown's lead is quite a good one. He's about 25 metres in front.
And then Nairiki, they're still not halfway in this race, so lots of things can change. And as we look at the chasing group there, we see Andrew Pearson from the Longwood Harriers Club, Maas from Holland, and then Christian Stevenson from Cardiff, and then just at the back of that group, Keith Cullen. So the three Britons just behind the Dutchman, running strongly here and running well as we look through the difficult part of the course again and see Tom Nairiki struggling through it as John Brown once again unaffected by these awful conditions. Some athletes can run extremely well in the mud, and John Brown's certainly one of those athletes. I hope he takes this step a little further forward and aims for the World Cross Country Championships, because he looks to me as though he's running as well this year as he was last year. In second place, Jan Millon in France, and there, the bronze medalist in the Cross Country Championships, Tom Nairiki. Running in fits and starts, I think, unlike John Brown, who seems to just constantly be applying the pressure.
Just watching Brown's action while you were talking, Brendan, he doesn't seem to go into the mud, he goes over it. Very encouraging for him, though, to come back after that injury. On the European Championship last year, didn't defend this year due to the injuries. A healthy break. Nairiki's struggling, undoubtedly.
And you can see there, Millon of France went straight through the middle on the shorter route, straight through the mud, and Tom Nairiki went on the wide outside, and he's looking for every blade of grass he can find on this course, just to see if it makes the conditions underfoot any easier for him. As we watch John Brown, his confidence must be growing, because he was worried about Nairiki, because he's obviously a class athlete, the world cross-country bronze medalist and also the world track bronze medalist at 5,000 metres. I think the future for John Brown lies at the 10,000 metres and eventually the marathon. But we are looking at Britain's top distance runner of the moment. The European cross-country champion from last year, winning that race in these sort of conditions, and again coming quietly to this race. No pre-race form, no pre-race predictions. He's a studied athlete. He takes his running extremely seriously, keeps it all very close to him, to his chest. But the fact he actually came here from Vancouver told us he was in good form. Well, he's certainly demonstrating that so far things are going very much the way of John Brown, and 1998 could be an even better year than 1997 for John. He ran the second fastest 10,000 metres ever by a British athlete this year, and there he is on his way to try and defend this title. Nobody's ever won this race twice, and I wonder if John Brown could become the first.
Looking good, I must say. He beat Nairiki in Spain last season. 3 of the big laps to go of just over 1,300 metres. To that. John is 26. Son Dylan, born in June last year. Dylan trying hard to close the gap. Nairiki making no impression on the Frenchman. Led the World Championship by 13 seconds at one stage in Milan. Eventually finished third. Famous Power going through. Behind him Stevenson of Cardiff and Andy Pearson of Longwood.
Well, Andrew Pearson's run well in this race a few times before, and it's good to see him coming back to some sort of form as we watch the other Yorkshireman, John Brown, who, as I said earlier, Britain's top long-distance runner, proving today that he's back to the very best sort of form we've ever seen him in. And the future for John Brown certainly lies at the 10,000 metres and the marathon. And this year, his second marathon will be run in London. It's one of the press boys was saying to me yesterday, what we really need in British athletics these days is a top-class distance runner to give the crowds and the spectators something to shout for. Well, John Brown in London in a few months' time, if this is anything to go by, I think he'll give us something to shout for there. As we watch in second place, Millon of France looking over his shoulder and seeing the gap between him and Tom Nairiki growing. You can see Nairiki beginning to tire now. The conditions have really taken their toll on Tom Nairiki. He was unable to find the conditions to his liking. As we watch the Dutchman, Maas, very good 10,000 meter runner, ran 27:35 earlier this year, or last year. So he's a good class runner as well. And then there's a group of domestic athletes. The Irishman Seamus Power leading the chasing group now. And then Christian Stevenson and Andrew Pearson.
The Irishman, by the way, is the Irish champion.
Brilliant run from John Brown at the moment.
Well, I must say, watching John, reflecting on a story last night, I was told by the physio that John Brown's hips are not in any way flexible. Well, he's disguising that well. The physio said he needed a month with him to try and get him right. Looks as if one session's done it.
Well, that's what one session does. A month would be great, wouldn't it? There's Milon of France working hard now and running more confidently now that he realises Nairiki is under pressure in third place. So Milon looks comfortable in second place. That second place seems assured unless something goes drastically wrong with John Brown. Coming up to 20 minutes running, so they're well over halfway now. Milon keeps continually looking over his shoulder, but he won't see the threat coming from Nairiki from any longer, I feel. Nairiki's had enough of these conditions. Sometimes the Kenyans, they're fantastic on the track and on the roads, and on the firm cross-country races, they can run extremely well. But there is a weakness. It's sometimes in conditions, weather conditions and course conditions like this.
Milon, when he was looking around, Brendan, was looking at the clouds because there's rain approaching, and approaching fast. Clouds very, very dark. Well, this, whatever happens, is impressive.
Well, it's a good start for the year for John Brown and for British distance running. He's had enough of the mud now. John's decided he's got a good enough lead to be able to steer clear of that mud as Milon goes straight through the middle of it. No concern at all. The weather's just holding off here sufficiently. They're running around this very difficult course, but fortunately for the moment there's little wind blowing and it's not raining, so we've done a little bit better than predicted as John Brown approaches the hills and the mud with equal confidence. Milon working hard behind him in second place, but number one, last year's winner John Brown, Britain's top long distance runner. I'm sure he's got a great future ahead in the marathon, and I for one would be excited to see how well he runs in London. Milon, the Frenchman, who's run well here before and has run well on the country before, less distinguished on the track, and these athletes now 2 laps to go in this 9.7 kilometre race.
Well, there have been so many races already on this course. No wonder it's cut out. But this is a tester normally when it's dry.
It is a testing course from around the hills here and the playing fields and part of the golf course at Akeley Head Centre. And it was designed to be a tough course on firm conditions. So you can see the hills. There you can see John Brown working hard up those hills. But I'm impressed by his performance today. We talked to him yesterday and we talked to him when he first came over from Canada. And he, as I said earlier, he keeps everything close to his chest, John. He wasn't prepared to say anything other than he was running pretty well. You shared a taxi back from the airport with him, David. He wasn't giving anything away there either, was he?
No, all he wanted to do was to get to the physio.
Certainly is, and I do think...
Good run by the Frenchman. What's like it here, Brendan, after his run last year?
He certainly looks as though he does. He hasn't really distinguished himself at the World Cross Country Championships, although he was 8th at the European Cross Country Championships, and he was 13th a few weeks ago. So his form coming into this race was reasonably good, but not as good to put him in a position of second place. We really didn't think he'd be in the first 3 here. As John Brown comes down one side of the course, and Milon there, working hard, looking across, glancing across, sees the gap ahead. He knows that there's too much there for him to do damage unless John Brown really slows. Well, really, this is not in his hands. It's up to John Brown. And Nairiki there, a tired athlete now. He's given his very, very best here. He's worked extremely hard. He hasn't found the conditions or the weather conditions to his liking, but he's given a good account of himself. Being closed down now by the Dutchman Camille Maas, number 52.
And tired legs out there too. And spots of rain beginning to fall. The wind rising. It's very unsettling for an athlete. Crosswind destroys the rhythm.
It certainly does. But I was interested when talking to Paula Radcliffe earlier, when she was saying that you've got to remember that the conditions are the same as for everyone else. There's no point in complaining about them. You just have to get on with them. And this makes today's race a test for the strong men. And we're looking at the strongest man in British distance running, John Brown. Never shows any emotion on his face, never looks unduly tired, even though you know he's working hard. He's working hard for every yard here on this course, but looks in control, looks comfortable, looks untroubled by the undulating course, and certainly he's been untroubled today by the mud.
He's been checking on the gap, Brendan. It's 15 seconds. It's a very healthy lead.
And the most he'll say afterwards is, oh, that was pretty good, I'm quite happy with that.
Third and fourth there, now Riki, followed by Maas, the Dutchman.
I simply go after him. He made a long journey from Brazil. Just arrived here yesterday.
Riki all the time has been seeking the better ground where he can get it. Putting a lot on the distance though. Ground so economical.
That's when you really get behind these guys.
That exactly is the point. But now even he's looking for something to easier conditions so that he doesn't exhaust himself completely through that really sucking heavy mud. Just a slip there from John Brown. That's the first time I've seen him under any trouble at all, but he's actually smooth, so smooth over the course here, down the hills and up the hills. There he is, just ploughing through that mud. Not a concern except to try and retain this position. First place here last year, and now John Brown well on the way, climbing that hill. There he comes through.
Well, we reckon he's starting the last lap of over 1,300 metres. Then, after that 1,366 metres, he's got the finishing straight. Well, the rain is beginning to build up, so too the wind. The gap growing. You see the wind there has really stepped up as the storm clouds come overhead. Well, Bowen appears to be suffering, Brown doesn't. And it does make a difference, Brendan, when you get away in a cross-country race and you're comfortable.
Well, that's exactly how he looks. He looks totally comfortable. He looks comfortable in these conditions. He looks comfortable with the opposition. He's obviously very happy with his own form as we watch the Frenchman Jan Millon approach this steep downhill part of the race. And then John Brown, as we look at him, watch him climb up that hill with no great concern. I don't think he's really torturing himself now. I think he's very confident that 1998 has started even as well as 1997 did, and I'm sure that John Brown, we're looking here at an athlete who's got a great future at this event, cross country, and also at the 10,000 metres in the marathon. And it's good to see a British distance runner dominate a field like this as he goes down one side of the course. Jan Millon, the Frenchman, climbing up the other side of the course, giving up the chase on John Brown, which makes an awful lot of sense. Once you've got a gap on a course like this, David, I think it's up to him now.
Well, it gives your whole attitude a real boost, doesn't it? And Milan knows he's safe in second place. Now Riki in third, laboured.
There's Nairiki. You can see he's been working very hard on this course. There's Camille Maas, the Dutchman, in fourth place, and then Seamus Power, the Irishman. But there's John Brown, a look of concentration in his eyes. He really knows all he has to do now is negotiate the few difficult parts of this course remaining, and a second victory in the County Durham International Cross Country will be for John Brown. Half a lap to go for John Brown, being rowed on by the support here, and as the wind begins to whistle around the commentary box we're sitting in here, which is out on the course, John Brown's obviously feeling it a little more than we are.
I'm not sure about that. The roof nearly went then. I think I'd rather be out there with him.
Not running though, David.
No, hiding. A bit dodgy this box is.
And there's Jan Millon, the Frenchman, in second place, leaning into the wind now, but beginning to renew his spirit as he knows he's got only half a lap to go in this very demanding race. There'll be some tired athletes here, and you can see the rain now belting down on one part of the course, and it's dry on the other part of the course. So we're having some freak conditions, but they're not quite as bad as the weather forecast was telling us earlier in the day.
And with the wind and the rain, we've got the sun as well.
Conditions are getting worse and worse all the time.
See the strength of the wind now building.
Very comfortable John Brown ahead. Jan Millon of France.
He knows he's pretty safe.
Third place. It's a rainbow somewhere as well.
Dark clouds hovering overhead. They've been moved just fairly quickly. There's a very big cloudburst then, but it's been moved very quickly by the strength of the wind.
And there on the bottom of the course now, John Brown, all he's got ahead of him now is one stiff climb, and then he'll approach the finish. He won't be quite going as far as that rainbow, but he certainly will be running into the finishing area.
The end of the rainbow for him will be the finishing line, and they've got the tape out. Last climb for John. Got the message there, how far to go. And really, you look down the finishing straight, some hardy supporters of cross-country here, out in this gusting wind, blowing heavy rain at them. But the finishing straight on the spectator side here is packed. Al Brown can see the finishing line. And what a happy sight this is for him, to win this Durham title for the second time, and in these conditions he's done it convincingly. There in second place, the Frenchman, Millon. Another gust of wind has blown something off the commentary roof, but these boys are standing up to it.
They certainly are. That's a good performance in second place by Jan Millon of France. And we look down the finishing straight. Camille Mars, we're looking at, he may be third. Has he overtaken Nairiki? Oh, Nairiki here in third place. I'm pleased Nairiki hung on for third place. He certainly gave it everything he possibly could today. Conditions didn't suit him at all. And Camille Mars coming through in fourth place, the Dutchman. And as we look further down the finishing funnel, there's Seamus Power of Ireland coming in.
That's a good run by him. It really is. The Irish will be very pleased with that. 6 was Stevenson. Van Hoos 7. Cullen 8.
The Great North Run champion coming up the home straight here, Hendrik Ramala of South Africa.
In 9th place, the Great North Run winner, Ramala of South Africa, comes through. Andrew Pearson in 10th place. Stuart Bell just gone through, I think, in 11th place.
And there's the result. John Brown, Jan Millon of France, and Tom Nairiki. A brave run in third place by Nairiki, but an outstanding performance to start 1998. A win in the Durham International Cross Country for John Brown. Britain's distance runners are on the way up, I think.
Well, he certainly did it so well. It was a very emphatic run. At very, very low leg action. Perfect for these conditions. No knee lift. Very little back lift. And he's won the Durham title for a second time.
And the only show of emotion all day from John Brown was the one single raised hand, not a smile on his face yet. And John will be confident now the year ahead looks really good for John Brown. A very, very convincing victory by John Brown over a strong international field. Milon ran, I think, one of the best races he's run, and Tom Nairiki in third place. Well, you got to say the Kenyan was extremely brave today. Nothing was to his liking, weather conditions, course or anything. And there you can see we're getting all kinds of weather out here today, and those athletes did extremely well braving all those conditions.
Well, 2 more races still to come. It's a men's middle distance race, one of the highlights of this meeting, and that's followed by the elite women's race.
Middle distance invitation race over 3.7 kilometers, so all the athletes being down in the start marshalling area now.
Well, the scene looks not too bad there, does it? But in fact, the wind is gusting like mad. The rain has stopped.
England.
Well, by the way, if you want to run in the Great North Run, which is being held, Brendan, October 4, that's the way you're going to enter. 1998 Bupa Great North Run, PO Box 1RY, Newcastle upon Tyne, NE991RY. Give me that again. The 1998 Bupa Great North Run, PO Box 1RY, Newcastle upon Tyne, NE991RY. The biggest road race in Europe. 36,000 ran last time. They're expecting 40 at least this time.
And one would hope that the 1998 Great North Run would have a little bit better weather conditions than we've got today. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if today's winner, John Brown, will feature in that race later in the year. He's got a lot of running to do between now and then, including the London Marathon. But I think a great boost for British distance running here today with John Brown's victory. And we've got some more exciting races to look forward to, particularly later in the afternoon. Britain's top female long-distance runner, Paula Radcliffe, takes on an extremely strong field. They'll have all been watching that race extremely carefully, and I'm sure Paula Radcliffe, as she talked to us earlier, feeling pretty confident, and I wonder, could this be a good day for British distance running?
We'll be getting round to presenting.
Well, the next race is the men's middle distance invitation race over 3.7 kilometres, 4 laps of 890 metres. Brendan, men to watch. A little bit, but conditions on the course are good. We'll be screening 3 international races during the afternoon, and first the women's race, which is over 5 laps of 1,265 metres. Here now, some of the athletes to watch. Well, now the British #1, Paula Radcliffe, the new European champion, is running in this first race, the women's race, a race she won back in '95. She's here now with Chris Boxer.
Paula, how much does it mean to you to be introduced as the European cross-country champion?
It means a lot to me. It was good to end this year, or last year, on a high note and to go into '99 with a fresh start and hopefully be a successful year for me. I was really lucky in Ferrara really to get away with it at the stage of fitness that I was at, but now it's all looking forward to March in the World Cross Country Championships.
But with Geto Wami and Anne-Marie Sandel here, it's not going to be an easy start to the year. How much pressure do you feel?
Obviously there's pressure here because Durham's important to me and I like to run well here, I'd like to win the race here, but not so much. I mean, the main aim is the World Cross Country in March. I'm looking for a good run out here just to see whereabouts I am and how much work needs to be done before those World Cross Country Championships.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
There's Paula Radcliffe with some of her rivals standing right next to her. Number 46, Joyce Chepchumba, who beat Liz McColgan in that great London Marathon victory a couple of years ago. There's number 46, Joyce Chepchumba. As you can see, she's geared up against the weather here. Long-sleeved shirt and the hat just to keep her warm, and gloves. Coming forward a little embarrassedly. And the next athlete to be introduced, there's the tiny Ethiopian, number 7, Geto Wami, the former world cross-country champion, an Olympic 10,000 metre bronze medalist, a real class athlete, and an athlete who's very much in form. as of the moment, winning the race in Brussels a couple of weeks ago. The other athlete to be introduced, young Anna-Marie Sandell, who's actually 22 years of age today. The Finnish athlete who won the World Cross Country Championships and the European Cross Country Championships when they were held in the Northeast recently. Finished second to Paula Radcliffe a couple of weeks ago, and they're number one, Britain's most consistent distance runner over the last few years. Number one, Paula Radcliffe, the now European Cross Country Champion.
There's over 50 athletes starting. Away they go. 6.5 kilometres, 5 laps of the course. Each lap 1,265 metres long. Wind against at this point. It's bitingly cold in. For 11 is Maranga, the Kenyan. Commonwealth 1,500 metre champion and record holder.
Be interesting to watch number 11, Jackie Maranga, because this course is very much a course which will suit the class distance runners. It's not a really testing cross-country course. The conditions underfoot are a little bit soft, but they're actually really good for running on. It's pretty flat apart from a couple of very sharp inclines which really aren't going to do any great damage. And there Paula Radcliffe settling right in the middle of the pack alongside Anna-Marie Sandell of Finland and the former World Cross Country champion Peter Wami.
The leader at the moment, Vicky McPherson of Glasgow. Talking to her in the hotel this morning, she says she's full of confidence. She's a chartered accountant, but she's taking some time off work to be a full-time athlete, and it's been showing too.
It certainly has. It's really paid off for Vicky McPherson with a brave run in the Commonwealth Games, almost getting a medal, almost getting a 10,000 metre medal in the Commonwealth Games. Vicky McPherson has set off this race with the confidence of her victory a few weeks ago in one of the British international races, and here Vicky McPherson just stretching them along there, knowing that this 6.5 kilometre course really is to her advantage to keep the pace going, because she's more of a distance runner than she is a short distance runner. Paula Radcliffe, number one, closing up on Vicky McPherson, and Gita Wami keeping Paula Radcliffe in her sights.
Also up there's number 30, Alan Patterson of Preston. First British finisher in the World Championships last year. The Ethiopians all together though. 41 Mugo, 22 today. Number 7 Wami, number 11 is Maranga. Actually, Maranga's a Kenyan, but they're dressed in the same strip. And inside the blonde hair of Sandell. Sandell won the World Junior Cross Country Championship in '95 here in Durham. Then the European Senior Cross Country Championship in Alnwick. And a couple of years ago she won in Portsmouth. So 3 trips to Britain, all 3 wins.
Yes, interesting that, David. She's never been beaten in Great Britain. I wonder if she feels that that's an advantage. She's been training in Helsinki, just outside Helsinki, she was telling us. And the weather conditions there over the winter time, over the Christmas holiday period, have been pretty savage. And for her coming here, even though it is pretty cold here, might be a welcome relief for her before she goes off to Morocco to train with the Moroccan distance team in the Atlas Mountain.
Paul Radcliffe, where she likes to be, dictating things. But she's got a very strong field to cope with. This race won last year by Katarina McKinnon, who's now concentrating on marathons. Wami won in '96, Radcliffe in '95, and also in '94.
Right, and there now is another just of those sharp inclines, really just testing the athletes, but the overall conditions for these conditions certainly will suit good class distance runners, particularly athletes who've got strong pace and strong finishes. And in there we've got a couple of them with that sort of ability. Jacqueline Maranga, the Kenyan, as David said, Commonwealth champion and record holder, and also the Olympic bronze medalist in the 10,000 metres, Gita Wami of Ethiopia, who's tracking Paula Radcliffe every foot of the way. As the athletes now, they're running on the university playing fields, they're running around the cricket square, and this is the cricket pitch that Durham County Cricket Club played in their very early years. few years ago in their inaugural season of first-class county cricket.
We're told by the spectators today, 1,200 prisoners at Durham Jail, which overlooks the course.
That's right, I wasn't going to mention that, David.
McPherson on the near side, then Radcliffe, Pattinson number 30, Sandell number 3. Coming around now with 4 laps to go into the wind.
Four laps to go here, and it's not surprisingly there's a big group here because nobody's really injecting any pace. They're literally just pouring it on gradually, and there's all the talented athletes, all the class athletes are in that leading group. Vicky McPherson, number 15, the Scottish runner, running very well there alongside Paula Radcliffe as they go down towards the river and then turn sharply, and they'll face that incline again. So that's Paula Radcliffe. Jacqueline Maranga in second place, the Commonwealth 1500 metre champion. Now they'll be aware of her ability at the finish, and it wouldn't be in Paula Radcliffe's interest to allow this race to go too slow, and I'm sure that's what she's doing, just encouraging the pace along a little. This is a wicked little incline, this one. They really do have to dig deep to get up there, and then the idea would be in the later laps just to keep it going. As we watch there at the back of that group, we can see Joyce Chepchumba, the marathon runner, the London Marathon winner, finding a little bit of difficulty with his early pace.
Radcliffe likes to attack on the hills, test them, work them over. So the new European champion leads, this time facing a very strong challenge from Africa. Sandell, 22 today. Finished 5,000 metre and 10,000 metre record holder.
That leading group of 5 now beginning just to edge ahead of Vicky McPherson back in 6th place, and the 3 Africans, 2 Kenyans, Ethiopian, a Finnish athlete, and Paula Radcliffe, who I'm sure at this stage of the race is only just encouraging the pace along. I'm sure this is not Paula trying to make a long run for home. I'm sure it's Paula trying to keep this race at a consistent level. She's not making a great effort yet, but she is encouraging them to move along, and slowly the group that was a lap ago had about 16 or 17 athletes in it is now down to 5, as Vicky McPherson in that difficult position in 6th place there, just being left by that leading group, which includes the Commonwealth 1500 metre champion Jacqueline Maranga, the World Cross Country champion Ida Wami, the now European Cross Country champion Paula Radcliffe, the former European Cross Country champion Anna-Marie Sandell, and that's a class field there, including the other Kenyan athlete, which is Naomi Mugo, and she's a class athlete in her own right.
2 birthday girls up there. Mugo is also 22 today. But the going is very good indeed.
Well, let's just watch at this incline, see if Paula Radcliffe does attack again, and see what she does when she levels out. She's beginning just to lean into the wind there, attack that hill, levels up, and then tries to accelerate down it. But there is a good bunch of athletes here, and the questions are, approaching the halfway point, Paula Radcliffe will have to change mode from encouraging that pace to trying to press the pace.
The long tour to Paula yesterday. She's been on holiday in France, been cross-country skiing a lot, and she reckons it's real good training.
An interesting point that, David. I mean, obviously the best training for running is running, and she was running in the morning, running in the evening, and doing cross-country skiing in the afternoon. She says she's not sure she's going to use cross-country skiing as a training aid when she goes into the summer season, but I wonder what what benefit is going to be for her today.
1 Kenyan, 2 Ethiopians, 1 Finn, and 1 Brit. And the big 5 in this race are away.
Well, there are a few dangers here to Paula Radcliffe. Obviously, number 7 there, Gita Wami, the World Cross Country champion. The last 2 World Cross Country championships, Paula Radcliffe's finished 2nd, and Gita Wami's finished third. And then on the other side, Jacqueline Maranga, who's running with real confidence on this course, because I'm sure she's finding this a bit more like a track race than a true cross-country course. Now I wonder what she's going to be like on the hills. The weaknesses need to be tested now. With 3 laps to go, Paula Radcliffe, Anna-Marie Sandell, who's running irritatingly close to Paula Radcliffe on those corners, and now the leader, Gita Wami of Ethiopia.
Actually, there are 2 Kenyans in that leading group, one Ethiopian, one Finn, one Britain, and Wami's pushing it.
Unexpected in early days because we know Sandell Radcliffe as front runner.
She's
been
third behind Radcliffe in 2 World Cross Country Championships. The last 2, Radcliffe's finished second in both.
Come on, ladies, keep it going.
So Wami's in good form. Beat Paula in Brussels recently.
2 Africans now. Stretching the pace there a little. Sandell on their shoulder, and Paula Radcliffe now not in a position she usually likes to be. She doesn't like to be in 4th place there on a cross-country race. She likes to often to see the lead, to see the front. She's doing, as I say that, she's moving closer, just taking a little bit closer order as they attack the next short hill. Radcliffe on the inside. Jacqueline Maranga, number 11, the 1500 metre runner, who beat Kelly Holmes in the Commonwealth Games 1500 metres. And then Anna-Marie Sandell finished second behind Paula Radcliffe in the recent European Cross Country Championship. And then the real danger, the in-form Ethiopian Gita Wami.
Approaching the halfway mark. In this race, over 6.5 kilometres. This is lap 3 of the 5 laps.
Well, they're now into the second half of the race, and the point about it is that Paula Radcliffe really is going to have to work hard in the second half of the race just to make this a true run, hard run race. If it was really hard all the way, you would favour Radcliffe, but there are 2 1500 metre runners in there. The 2 Kenyans finished 1st and 4th in the Commonwealth Games 1500 metres. That's Mugo and Jacqueline Maranga. Now Sandell for the first time taking over the lead and settling back in 5th place. I think just sitting comfortably in 5th place is the former World Cross Country champion Gita Wami. So Paula Radcliffe now well into the second part of the race, and now will her stamina be to her advantage. They come along past the changing rooms of the university playing fields here. University of Durham really establishing its reputation as a sports university these days. Former training ground of Will Carling and Nasser Hussain. But they're the athletes now climbing up that steep incline just across the back. Now Paula Radcliffe needs to start thinking seriously about a big effort.
This the 10th race already today in this Bupo Great North Running Festival. From schoolboys to juniors. And there are 3 major international races, including this one.
Very mature.
Leading 5 confirmed.
Great world talent. I know how much you will respond to encouragement, so come on the northeast crowd, let's get right behind.
Looks to me as if beyond the halfway point, Radcliffe is beginning to work harder.
I think she is, and I think she has to. She's got some talent in there, shorter distance talent, as well as the known ability of number 7, who's running very close to Paula Radcliffe, Gita Wami. Now Paula Radcliffe approaching 2 laps to go. And this is a very important, the penultimate lap on this cross-country course, 1265 metre lap, is the very important one for Paula Radcliffe. 2 laps to go now, and Paula Radcliffe leading for the first time for real. But they're running alongside her, they're not being shaken off at all. And there's a lot of talent in there.
Well, they recognise what Radcliffe's got to do, and that is break them and not wait for a sprint finish. Marie Sandell, beaten by Radcliffe in the recent Europeans, when Sandell finished second.
Top 10 in an IAAF cross-country
leading
race.
5 now with a big gap.
Heroes of the Northeast, Alan Story.
Mickey McPherson.
And this climb quite interesting now. Let's see what happens here. Who's anybody going to attack there? Jacqueline Maranga, the 1500 metre runner. I'm sure her confidence has been soaring. When she came down here and she saw this course, she'd be really, really pleased, because she ran in the Durham cross country last year and it was deep in mud. It was a different course. Now she's found this course very much to her liking. It's very much a track runner's course, this, for a cross country, and Paula Radcliffe being now tracked and joined by Jacqueline Maranga, the 1500 metre champion, then Sandel, then Gita Wami, the Ethiopian world cross country champion, and the other Kenyan 1500 metre runner, Naomi Mugo. Well, some athletes run very well in good conditions, some athletes run well in the mud, and this course suits good class runners. It's a test of running ability rather than a test of cross country ability, but it's going to be interesting nevertheless.
Actually, back in the 6th place now. Mickey McPherson has lost that place to Russia of Mexico. A truly international field. Braga of Spain leading the, you couldn't call it a chasing group because they're making no impression. Very well down the hill. Sandel now pressing it. They all know that Radcliffe struggles in a fast finish.
Well, I think she's going through a bad patch now. They come down the hill, there's another slight incline on these university playing fields here, round the corner on the flat part, then they climb rapidly, but interestingly, Maranga has been keen to lead, Anna-Marie Sandel's been keen to lead, Paula Radcliffe's tried to lead, but Gita Wami in 4th place there, the Ethiopian world cross country champion, hasn't been leading, and that was ominous there. Wami moved through very quickly and Paula Radcliffe began to struggle. So the two Africans, Gita Wami takes the lead now for the first time. Maranga, the 1500 metre runner, settling in 2nd place, and that hill really did some damage to Paula Radcliffe.
Begins to look that way. 5th place is Mugo, the Kenyan. Wami looking very, very comfortable, very easy. That nod of Paula Radcliffe's getting more pronounced, and she's really having to battle to stay with them.
And that was a sudden injection of pace up the hill, and then when Wami came down the other side, she just let it go. She started running extremely quickly. Her cadence began to increase, and now the former world cross-country champion, now we'll hear the lap sound with 1 lap to go here. Gita Wami has opened up a lead of about 15 to 20 metres over the Commonwealth Games 1500 metre champion, Jacqueline Maranga. But doesn't Gita Wami look easy? She's just high-stepping, striding out, looks absolutely at ease here now.
And recognises the danger, I think, from Maranga, the Commonwealth 1500 metre champion and record holder, and she's got away from her. Sandel in 3rd place, Radcliffe is 4th, and Mugo 5.
There we look at Durham Cathedral in the background, and there the concentration of the leader, and then Maranga in 2nd place, Anna-Marie Sandel, and is Paula Radcliffe going to be able to be competitive to finish in the first 3 as Naomi Mugo, the other Kenyan, comes through in 5th place. Then the next incline, let's see how Gita Wami attacks this hill. She comes into there, it's a very steep incline, but she's just high-stepping, striding up it, no problem at all for the leader, Gita Wami. And then Maranga, the 1500 metre runner, she looks good. Sandel's got no trouble. And then Paula Radcliffe working very hard in 4th place.
Radcliffe, of course, more interested in the World Cross Country Championship in Belfast at the end of March. She was using this race as a tester, and it certainly has tested her.
It's telling her exactly what there is to be done. It's not an awful big gap, but it's a winning lead there for Gita Wami as long as she just keeps the pace going. Gita Wami won the first cross-country challenge race a few weeks ago in Brussels, beat Paula Radcliffe in the 4th place there. And then an interesting performance by number 11, Jacqueline Maranga, 1500 metre champion from the Commonwealth Games back in Kuala Lumpur a few months ago. And then Sandell, and then Paula Radcliffe, working hard, not giving up the challenge. There, can she close down on the 3rd placer, Anna-Marie Sandell, who she beat in those European Championships, and then Mugo, the other Kenyan. They're now on the top field, and they've only got about 800 metres, less than 800 metres to go now.
Wami running better than ever this season. Won this race in '96. Excellent track season, 5 Ethiopian records, 2 at 3,000 metres and 3 at 5,000. And she's looking very, very good and very, very relaxed. No pressure at all. She's attacked at the right time. Got well away from Maranga.
She's in full flow there, David. Absolutely no effort at all. Striding out. The conditions aren't difficult for her. She's found no problems at all there with the conditions. The field itself posed a problem for a few laps, but she was always in control, sitting on the back of the group. And if you watch her going here up this little incline, let's see how little work she makes of it. Look, striding out there, lifting her knees, running very comfortably. Not a problem at all for Gita Wami, the Ethiopian former World Cross Country champion. And I think she's going to be a danger to them all when the World Cross Country Championships approach in March in Belfast. There's a little bit of work for Paula Radcliffe to do. I'm sure she can be more competitive in March, but this is the class athlete of this part of the season, Gita Wami of Ethiopia.
Maranga in 2nd place, Sandell 3rd, and they're unlikely to alter that, I don't think, because they're getting nearer and nearer to the finish. Radcliffe in 4th place, getting away from Mugo.
Final preparation for the World Championships at the end of March. It won't be long now before the leading runners come under these.
The Wami runners really is running beautifully. Perfect picture of relaxation. No effort. Making it all look so easy. She won in Brussels recently by 8 seconds when Radcliffe was 4th. And she's repeating that form here today. Within sight of the finish now. And she'll be one to look out for in the World Championships in Northern Ireland. Wami wins it, looks back. The next athlete's just in sight. And it's Maranga, the Commonwealth Games 1500 metre champion from Kenya. She looks back. And Sandell of Finland comes in 3rd. In 4th place, Paula Radcliffe, working as hard as ever, but it's not there today.
Certainly isn't there today, but that was a brave effort by Paula Radcliffe. You see, she's put herself away there.
Checking the result then, Wami is the winner. In fact, she's from Ethiopia, not Kenya, as in the caption. Maranga, the Kenyan, in 2nd place, and Sandell of Finland 3rd.
Gita Wami, a convincing winner of our opening race from Durham. There's another day, international races, men and women. Now a 9-kilometre race for the men. And let's go back to our team there, Brendan Foster and David Coleman.
Over 50 athletes lining up for the start of the men's long race. This is 9 kilometres, 7 laps of the course. Number 45 in the centre of the picture is Nairiki. He's just seen his wife Maranga finish 2nd in the women's race.
Tom Nairiki was 3rd in this race last year. Be interesting to see how he responds today. The course will be very much to his advantage. Next athlete to be introduced there, we're looking at number 11, Million Walde, in Ethiopian, reigning world junior 5,000 metre and cross-country champion, and everyone's telling us that he's going to be the next Haile Gebrselassie. As we look at the great Khaled Skar, world cross-country champion and Olympic 10,000 metre champion in the past, and now attempting to run further distances. He's going to step up to the marathon pretty soon. And Britain's #1 distance runner over the last few years, twice winner of this race already, John Brown from Sheffield Athletic Club, who now spends his time living in Vancouver, Canada.
John Brown, the only man to win this race twice the last 2 years.
So let's give these athletes fantastic send on. You've been a great crowd so far. Please get right behind these athletes.
This is a race of over 9 kilometres, 7 laps of the course. John Brown well up there straight away. Number 15 alongside him, Andrew Pearson from Longwood. Nearest the camera, number 12 is Kosgei, the Kenyan. Number 15, Pearson. Number 9 is Maffei of Italy.
These athletes heading off 7 laps to go on this decent running course. Africans as usual, the Kenyans taking the early lead, and John Brown, Great Britain, has gone very, very quickly to join the two Africans. His fellow Yorkshireman behind him, Andrew Pearson, and then just behind Andrew Pearson in the green and red vest of Morocco is Khaled Scar,
Very early days in the leading quartet.
twice World Cross Country champion.
Certainly John Brown there going.
Incidentally, during this race, we'll be trailing the Bupa Indoor International Races at Birmingham Arena, a magnificent arena in the Midlands, and telling you how to get tickets for that. If you want to telephone a hotline, and also details of how to enter the Great North Run. I'll give you those details about halfway through this race if you want to jot them down. It's bitterly cold here, teeth chattering.
They're number 1 right in the middle of the picture. Short-sleeved shirt, John Brown. Beside him, good to see Andrew Pearson up there. Then next to him, number 45, Tom Nairiki, who's the fastest 5,000 metre runner in this field. And then Khaled Scar, Morocco, taking closer order as the young Ethiopian, the 19-year-old Ethiopian, also realises the talent here is at the front of the race, and that's the place he should be. They run around this top field, the Durham University playing fields here, and then sharply down onto the lower level, onto the former county cricket field. Great conditions for running here today, even though it's been very wet in the last few weeks. These fields drain tremendously well. It's an absolute pleasure running around these fields.
9 laps to the rest, 7 laps, 9k distance. So the first 7 times down the hill.
Bit different to last year when it was on the other course, Brendan. Slogging through the wind and the rain and the mud.
They were slogging through the mud last year. And the leader now, the Commonwealth Games steeplechase champion, John Kosgei of Kenya. And then Tom Nairiki, then John Brown, and then the Moroccan Khaled Scar and the Ethiopian Million Walde. And the class of this field is already now gathered. After less than 1 lap, all the talent is at the front. You'll see that little hill in the early stages doesn't prove to be a problem at all. But as we saw in the women's race earlier, Paula Radcliffe really did struggle on the penultimate lap of that steep incline. And we'll see the same sort of effect as this race goes on. You can sense from the cadence of these athletes that the pace here is going pretty fast. And you can sense by the way the field is whittling down already. The leading group is a very small number, as John Kosgei, the Commonwealth steeplechase champion, is very happy to lead in this race. The athlete in there in the all blue vest is the Mexican Pablo Olmedo.
Brown looking very easy in 3rd place. Walde, number 11 in 4th. Kosgei, number 12, Commonwealth steeplechase champion. In good form on the continent recently. We've got 6 laps to go still.
Well, I'm just looking right through the field and I'm seeing the gaps that are opening, and this is a class international field. I can see athletes like Richard Narurka, Great Britain, working their way through from the halfway point And I can sense here today, as the athletes come round the bandstand and they hear the band playing, that's the Cantabile Clarinet Quartet, sitting on the riverside here playing to the athletes' amusement. You can't quite hear the tunes they're playing, but they're obviously playing them quite well. But here we come to the short, sharp incline, and the two Kenyans attack this race. And I sense that this pace is pretty quick early on because of the gaps that I said earlier. There's Julio Ray. He went through the first mile, according to our statisticians, in 4 minutes and 35 seconds. And that is quick for a race like this. So really, you look at the gaps already, and I sense the race is going to have to slow down. That's very, very quick for the opening lap here. And the two Kenyans are very happy to lead. They're both good middle distance runners, the Commonwealth Games steeplechase champion and the World 5,000 metre bronze medalist Tom Nairiki. John Brown is very anxious to be close in contention there, but I don't really think he needs to be that close. Million Walde, the class athlete, the young man from Ethiopia, number 11 in the striped vest, and then Olmedo, Mexican, and then Mohamed Mourit, the Moroccan who now runs for Belgium, joining that leading group. But if you don't stay with this leading group in the early stages, you're never going to get back to them. They really are running extremely quick here today.
Well, the leaders are certainly stretching them now. Olmedo of Mexico is the first of the leading six to feel it. Brown, apparently, quite comfortable. Nairiki, the man in second place. World bronzes in 97, both track and cross country, the 5,000 metres, and then the World Cross Country Championship. In fact, in that race, he made the pace most of the way and was about 8 to 10 seconds in front at one stage. Was caught on the final lap.
Second time up the hill. Koskai, well, we know he's good at 3,000 metres. We know he's run a pretty decent 5,000 metres, but we're not sure how well he'll go all the way. Maybe going off a little bit too quickly. Tom Nairiki there just allows his teammate Koskai just to open up a few yards, and then Walde of Ethiopia and John Brown staying on his shoulder and continuing to press the pace is the Kenyan steeplechaser. Look at him working extremely hard, and there are still just over 5 laps to go. They've only done a lap and a half, and I just wonder if the better place to be here is just off the lead alongside Walde or John Brown.
They're certainly pushing it. Koskai is 12. Nairiki, 45. Walde, 11. John Brown, number 1. And then Belgian, Mourit, who was born in Morocco, but now a Belgian citizen. Khalid Scarce finding this very hard indeed. He's back in 8th place. Leading 5 through, followed by Andrew Pearson of Longwood, Khalid Scar, Morocco, Olmedo of Mexico, Kiba of Kenya.
Alongside Kiba was Julio Ray, and there's Barry Royden of Great Britain, running quite well in that pack. And then Stuart Bell of Chesley Street Athletic Club coming through there as we look at number 9. That's the Giuseppe Maffei. And then Brian Rusher. And there's Richard Naruga, who's getting ready for the London Marathon, finding this pace distance a bit short, but the pace a little bit quick as the 4 athletes now. And I wonder if they're going to begin to settle, because the 2 Kenyans really have been driving this pace, and you can't keep driving all the way. It's really, really difficult out there. 3 kilometers passed in 8 minutes and 34 seconds, and that's quick. Now I wonder in the second part of the race whether they begin to settle the pace and begin to gather themselves. As number 11, Walde, who didn't go with the 2 Kenyans, was quite happy to settle in there. And I sense here today that John Brown is running a big race. As we look back in 5th place to Mohamed Mourit, who was 2nd in the recent European cross-country championships. So John Brown, the leading European here today. And there we're looking at Mohamed Mourit, the Moroccan who now runs for Belgium, who finished second the other week in Italy in the European Championships, which he's the best of the European athletes, and John Brown's well ahead of him, competing very sensibly, just off the pace with those two Kenyans.
Well, the race clearly now between these four. They're going away from the Belgian. Stars making no impression. If anything, this quartet pulling further and further away.
The reason they're pulling further and further away is because Koska is just intent on leading this race. He's intent on pressing the pace, and every time he does it, he opens up a few yards, but Walday and John Brown are not getting detached. They're just staying in contention, but they're not prepared to change the pace as much as Koska is, and that's sensible running on both their parts. Walday and John Brown may eventually prove to be the class athletes of this field. Koska this time not as aggressive up that hill as he was earlier. Tom Nairiki, who settled behind Koska, second place, attacked the hill well. Million Walday, the junior World Cross Country champion, looks good, and John Brown is not, you can't say anything other than he's being extremely competitive. And this is John Brown's first race since he broke the British record of 10,000 metres in Brussels last September. And now John Brown, the distance gets further, John's getting more confident. He likes to compete with these Africans, he likes to be in contention with the Kenyans, and he likes the fact that the Kenyans now respect the name of John Brown of Great Britain.
They certainly do. He's one of the few Europeans not afraid to take them on. Waldy, he's a fascinating character, number 11, in fourth place at the moment. He's only 19 years old. He's the reigning world junior 5,000 metres and cross-country champion. He was a late entrant for this, but he's been in good form elsewhere, and he's showing it again today. Four laps to go. They'll be coming up to the halfway point shortly, and I'll be giving you those telephone numbers if you want to go to the big international indoor events in Birmingham the next couple of months, and also if you want to enter for the Great North Run, there'll be an address to write down.
And there we're looking at Andrew Pearson in sixth place, Khaled Scar, Olmedo of Mexico. Andrew Pearson running a good race there, but you can see how far behind these athletes that Andrew Pearson is. It just tells you everything we've been saying, that the first four here, the leading group of four, are growing extremely quickly, and I think the man who's been setting the pace, John Koska, is the first one of the four to come under pressure. He was leading in the early stages. They're not even halfway yet, and I wonder if Koska has gone too fast for his own benefit in those early stages, and now the preferred distance, John Brown being 10,000 metres, the preferred distance of the other two being 5,000 metres, maybe the second half of the race is going to be to their advantage over the Commonwealth Games 3,000 metre steeplechase champion. That's number 12, John Koska.
Brown looks like a man who means business. Waldy at 11. Nairiki, he loves to attack.
Well, Koska now just a few yards opening between Million Walday and John Koska, the Commonwealth Games steeplechase champion, and those three are being pulled away from the fourth placer by the pace that Tom Nairiki is now setting. So it's Nairiki leading from John Brown, Million Walday, and Koska just allowing those yards to open. Just let's see what it's like down this short incline. See if they contend with the conditions there. Three of them now beginning to pull away from the early leader, John Koska. Nairiki now intent on pressing the pace. The two Kenyans have really been meaning business here today. So it's the leader, Tom Nairiki, who was third in the World Cross Country Championships in the past, then John Brown, and then last year's 5,000 metre and World Junior Cross Country Champion, Million Walday. So those three beginning to edge ahead now of John Koska, who's making a big effort to try and close on them as they come into this short, sharp incline. Let's see if there are any telltale signs here. John Brown running very well there.
Well, he's certainly covering every move.
29 minutes, 10k.
Koskai back with them. They're going through a bit of a bad patch. Okay, well, now as promised, some details about forthcoming events. 3 years indoor championships and trials in Birmingham on the 30th and 31st of January. Those are World Championship trials. The Bupa Indoor Grand Prix International event. If you want ticket information, there's a hotline there. 0121 200 2222. Give you that again. 0121 200 2222. And now the Great North Run details. The race on October 10. If you want to get any details, that's the address to write to. Stamped addressed envelope, please. The 1999 Bupa Great North Run, half marathon distance. PO Box 1RY, Newcastle upon Tyne, NE 991RY. I'll give you that again. The 1999 Bupa Great North Run, PO Box 1RY, Newcastle upon Tyne, NE 991RY.
And now Tom Nairiki continuing to lead, and the 3 athletes that we can see in the shot, John Brown, Million Walday, beginning to pull ahead of the early leader, the Commonwealth champion, John Koskai. And look at the way they attack that hill. There's still no signs of tiredness in any 3 of those leaders. Just the odd sign from Koskai in 4th place, but John Brown's running a magnificent race here with the Africans. He's certainly not overawed. He hasn't been with a race since September of last year, but he's been training very well in Vancouver, where he now lives. Trains on his own out there in Vancouver, and he says he would welcome the presence of another British athlete out there with him to train with, which would certainly help John Brown, but it would particularly help any one of these young up-and-coming runners. And he said, really, if anyone wanted to do that, I'd be very happy to accommodate them for a while. So John Brown, number 1, Sheffield Athletic Club and Vancouver. Tom Nairiki, number 45, Kenya, and the new talent from Ethiopia, the man who's destined to follow in the footsteps of the great Haile Gebrselassie, number 11, Million Walday. And then the Commonwealth steeplechase champion, number 12, John Koskai, in 4th place, who really ran so hard in the early stages. He was bound to pay for it. And the 3 of them beginning to pull away from Koskai, but he certainly hasn't given up the chase. And John Brown, he's not content to sit in that group. He wants to let them feel his presence. He wants to run alongside them. He's just letting Tom Nairiki know that he's there, and he beat Tom Nairiki into the 3rd place in this race last year, so he's got the confidence over Nairiki. And I wonder if this race could be the preparation that John Brown needs to really take on the Africans in the World Cross Country Championships. He's desperately keen to run those World Cross Country Championships, which we'll be seeing on BBC television in March, being held in Belfast. And now those 2 of them running together, neck and neck, stride for stride, as they come into the front of the pavilion, playing fields. Million Walday just settling in behind them. University of Durham playing fields here, and Nairiki leading.
Just sense, Brendan, that Brown's beginning to feel slightly aggressive. He's testing Nairiki. He's just going up to his shoulder, letting him know he's there. Look.
I think you're right there, David. In that hill, where you can usually tell if there's any signs of weakness, certainly no signs of weakness being shown by John Brown. He did spend a month training in Boulder, Colorado at altitude before he came here, and he said that was a really good month's training. Looking over his shoulder, and he'll see Million Walday there. He's a bit nervous, he was telling us last night, about the Ethiopian. He thinks he's got the beating of Tom Nairiki, but he's certainly come here. His preparation has been brilliant for this. His coach, George Gandhi, who's based in Loughborough, does a terrific job with John Brown, as he's done with many athletes over the years in that distance running establishment called Loughborough University. Tom Nairiki, John Brown and Walday. Obviously, these 3, the main contenders, because I think Koskai now is giving up the chase. But Nairiki, for a man with such a fast finish, I always find it amazing that Nairiki wants to lead and press the pace all the way, because he could rely on his finish if he wanted to.
Just looking back over the years, some famous names have won this race. First won in '89 by Tim Hutchins, then Eamon Martin followed, Kariuki, the Kenyan, Bayesa of Ethiopia, Gebre Selassie, Ethiopia, Perui, the Kenyan, Mezigibu, Ethiopia, and John Brown for the last 2 years. The only man to win it twice. And this is the 11th race, I believe, today on this course at this Bilbo Great North Running Festival.
And the conditions here have been brilliantly organised by the City of Durham Council Recreation Department, who've been involved with this race for the last 11 years, and I don't think the fields here have ever been in better condition than they are today. Now Ricky leading, still wanting to press the pace, and I wonder now, with 2 laps to go into the penultimate lap now, John Brown beginning to think on how he's going to win this race, if he possibly can. I don't think John Brown would allow this race to go to a fast finish, because Walde's quick at the finish and Tom Nairiki is extremely fast in the finish. So I think in the next couple of minutes, I think John Brown's got to make his mind up if he wants to win this race. If he's feeling strong enough, how could he possibly do it? And I think the way John Brown could do this is by trying to make a break. Now, when will he try that? Will he try it on the hill, on the incline, or will he just pour the pace on and try and do it? But looking at him, he looks to be full of confidence. This is a great return to racing after John Brown set a British record in Brussels of 27 minutes and 18 seconds, which is a terrific run, a world-class run, and John Brown now feels that he could be the first British athlete ever to run under 27 minutes for 10,000 metres. I'd love to see him do that. His application and his preparation and his meticulous warm-up for these races really is something to be admired, and the other athletes should take lessons from John Brown, because he certainly is a class apart from Britain's other distance runners, and they really could learn from him, because his talent is he's not the biggest talent we've ever seen, but his application and training methods and his determination certainly are amongst the best.
They'd be well aware of Walde, though, number 11. Only 19, the reigning world junior 5,000 metres and cross-country champion. And his best 5,000 metre time, he's been inside 13 minutes at 12:59. That's Walde, number 11.
Both of those athletes, David, have been inside 13 minutes for 5,000 metres, which tells you what task John Brown's got ahead of him. But he's certainly not overawed. I'm sure John Brown is getting ready to make an effort now to try and win this race. He's clearly going to finish in the first 3, unless something radically goes wrong. But could he win it again? He's won it twice. Could this be a hat-trick for John Brown? And how's he going to try and win it? Is he going to attack them on this upcoming hill? He said he wished it was going to be muddy. Well, it's not muddy enough for John today. But he's certainly not losing anything on the hill. And there, for the first time, John Brown makes an effort to try and win this race.
So maybe we're going to see some fireworks over the closing,
Significantly made that effort on the hill.
Under 1,300 metres. John Brown, well, side by side again, and still...
And it looks to me as if that aggression is beginning to emerge again.
Well, it'll certainly have to emerge in the next couple of minutes, because John Brown wouldn't want to leave it till another lap, because they would be well within the sight of the finish, and you wouldn't gamble on him out sprinting these 2 runners. But I just sense, by the way, he's giving himself a free run in the front. He's looking ahead rather than to the side. He's not paying any attention to the other 2 runners, and as they run alongside the banks of the River Wear here, John Brown in second place behind Nairiki. I wonder, when is he going to make his effort? As they come up here, they hear the bell ring with 1 lap to go. That's just over 1,200 metres to go, and Nairiki now attacks Brown.
Welcome sound. This is certainly not one of the most testing cross-country courses by any means. It's fast, it's pretty flat, a couple of sharp inclines, but conditions underfoot are very good indeed.
I mean, this would be a famous victory if John Brown could win this race. These 2 class track runners, and also the Ethiopian, who everyone's telling us is going to be the next Gebre Selassie. Now, could John Brown, can he muster one last big effort with just over 800 metres to go? Can John Brown try and strike out to try and win this race? He's run a good race already. He must be proud of himself so far. He's taken on the best, and he's well in contention. Can he just muster one more effort to try and win the race?
Nairiki, 3rd last year in this race, but he wasn't 100% then. Certainly looks the part today. So does Walde, and so does Brown. But on paper anyway, if it comes to a sprint finish, Brown is the third favourite.
I think that's right, but I just think if you look at these two athletes, we'll be seeing both of these two, Nairiki and Walde, both in the World Cross Country Championships in Belfast. They'll both definitely finish in the first 10 in that race, which tells me that the calibre of the performance here of John Brown, he could actually finish inside the first 10 in the World Cross Country Championships, which would be a tremendous performance. Now, has he got anything left today? There are about 800 metres to go here. Nairiki, who's been leading most of the way after the early pacemaker, Koskai faded away. John Brown made one big effort to try and win the race a lap ago. I wonder if he's going to try and make an effort again on the hill, as Walde, who's never been nearer so far. This is the closest Walde's been to the lead here, and he's just now tracking Nairiki.
The two Africans looking very, very strong indeed. They're really testing John Brown now. Nairiki, the Kenyan. Walde, Ethiopia. John Brown, Great Britain.
Judging by the effort on the hill there, David, these two athletes aren't any stronger than John Brown, but they may prove in the next couple of hundred metres to be a little bit faster than John. But he's run a great race here today. The Ethiopian Walde next to him, and the leader Nairiki. Now Walde's getting ready to make his effort for the finish, and John Brown's certainly moving out to give himself a chance. He's not renowned for a sprint finish, but has he got anything left? He's run a great race and he should be really proud of himself so far. Could he do a little bit better than third? I wonder.
Glancing ahead and just measuring the distance to the finish. But the race is really on now. The two Africans sprinting away from Brown. As Walde, number 11, 45 Nairiki. And young Walde, the teenager, only 19. The World Junior 5,000 metre champion, the World Junior cross-country champion, is coming away now to win this one, surely. And Brown catching Nairiki. And there, Walde wins. Nairiki in second place, John Brown third. Superb run by all three.
There's a very good race there as we watch the Commonwealth Steeplechase champion John Koskai come through in fourth place, but you've got to say John Brown ran a brave race today to compete with the very best in the world, but I think we have seen the beginnings of a new era of Ethiopian distance running. Million Walde, the world junior champion, that's a name to watch out for the future. Nairiki in second place, and a credible run in third place by John Brown.
John, not quite three in a row, but an excellent performance. How pleased are you with your form?
I'm very happy. I mean, it's been a long time since I've done a competitive race. You can do all the training you want for months and months, but it's nothing like racing. And I felt like I ran as well here today as I have any other occasion, because the quality of the field was very high.
And the first mile was 4 minutes 35, very fast. How hard was that for you, having not raced for a while?
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock. I found the beginning, the first third of the race, very hard. I just felt like I was going flat out. But as it went on, it felt easier. And yeah, I didn't have that little racing zip at the end, but that'll come with a few more races.
And you said before the race, Million Walde would be a man to look out for. Only 19. He's a real talent. Yeah, he's been someone to watch for a number of years, and I remember seeing him a couple of years ago, and I know some of the Ethiopians, and they were saying, yeah, he's the guy to watch in the future. And obviously, I don't know if he's going to be as good as Gebrselassie, but he's certainly somebody who's going to give me a hard time. Yeah. And looking ahead, what are your plans now for the rest of the next few months and this summer?
A few more races, then some more training, then the World Cross Country in Belfast. London Marathon, then a holiday.
Well, have a good one and well done today.
All right, thanks, Christina.